Let's talk about that moment when your world just stopped. Not the moment the bad thing actually happened. No, I'm talking about the moment right after, when the dust has settled, when the ambulance sirens have faded, when the divorce papers are signed, or when you walk out of that office for the last time holding that cardboard box. The moment you get home, close the door, and just sit down. You know that feeling, right? It's not sadness. People talk about sadness, but that word is too light. It's more like numbness. It feels like your chest has been hollowed out and there's just a cold wind blowing right through you. You don't cry, or maybe you can't stop crying, but inside, you feel dead. Maybe you just lost the person you thought you'd grow old with. Maybe the business you poured your blood, sweat, and tears into for 10 years collapsed overnight. Or maybe the doctor just called with a diagnosis you can't even spell. And you know what the worst part is? Outside, the sun still rises. People still go to work, they still laugh, they still post their breakfast on Instagram. The world keeps spinning like nothing happened. Only your world has ended. Right now, I know exactly what you're hearing from the people around you. They mean well, sure.
It's okay.
They pat you on the back and say, "It's going to be okay. When one door closes, another opens. Stay strong. Time heals all wounds." Let's be honest. Right now, you just want to punch them in the face when you hear that. Because they don't get it. They're trying to put a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound. They want you to move on so they feel comfortable, not because it helps you. So let me tell you a brutal but necessary truth, one that nobody else dares to tell you. You are never going to get over this. You are never going back to being that happy, carefree person you were yesterday. That person, the one you were before that phone rang, before that betrayal happened, that person is dead. The event killed that version of you. And I'm not here to comfort you. I'm not here to hand you a tissue. I'm here to hand you a map. Because right here, right in this ash, this rubble, this mess you're sitting in, something is waiting. Society teaches us that crisis is an accident, a system error, something to avoid at all costs. But what if I told you crisis isn't a bug? What if it's a feature? What if this shattering isn't the end, but the prerequisite for something new, something stronger, scarier, and more brilliant to be born? Stop trying to glue the pieces back together to look like you used to. Stop trying to be a cracked vase held together by tape. We aren't going to fix the old you. We are going to build a completely new human being. Welcome to the starting line. Welcome to ground zero of your life.
First, let's clear out the garbage in your head. When you hit rock bottom, people love to throw two pieces of advice at you. They sound wise, but they are actually dangerous traps. Trap number 1. Time heals all wounds. Dead wrong. That is the sweetest lie of the century. Time heals nothing. Time is just time. If you break your leg and just sit there waiting for time to pass without a cast, without resetting the bone, 10 years later, you'll still be limping. Psychological pain is exactly the same. If you just sit and wait, the pain doesn't vanish, it festers. It turns into bitterness, chronic fear, and turns you into a resentful person. Trap number 2, this one's subtler. Just be resilient. We praise resilience like it's the gold standard. We think resilience means bouncing back after a fall. Imagine a rubber ball. You throw it hard against the ground, it distorts a little, then boom, it bounces back exactly the same as before. That is resilience. But think about it. Do you really want to be like a rubber ball? Do you want to go through hell, endure terrible pain, just to go back to being exactly who you were when you started? No. That is a waste of pain. Why would you want to go back to being the old you? Remember, that old you with that old mindset, those old circumstances, is what led to this crisis. Going back to the starting line isn't a victory, it's a regression. Don't try to be resilient. Don't try to be a rubber ball. Be a muscle. Do you know how muscle works? When you lift heavy weights, you are actually tearing the muscle fibers. You are injuring them. And how does your body respond? It doesn't just repair the tear to make it like before. No, the body is smarter than that. It says, that weight was too heavy. Next time, I need to be bigger and stronger to handle it. And it builds new, thicker, stronger fibers right over that tear. This isn't recovery, this is evolution. In psychology, we call this post-traumatic growth. Here's the difference. A resilient person survives the storm and remains standing, unchanged. A growing person goes through the storm, and the storm transforms them into an entirely new species of tree, roots deeper, trunk thicker, something that no future wind can ever knock down. You don't need to go back to normal. Normal has been destroyed. Our goal now is much higher. We are going to use these broken pieces to build a fortress. We don't waste pain. We use it as fuel. So how do we trigger this mechanism? How do you switch your brain from fear mode to growth mode? It starts with understanding why you are suffering so much. And the answer is going to surprise you.
So why does this fall hurt so damn much? It's not because you are weak. It's because you just had your contract with the universe ripped to shreds. Let me explain. Since the day we were born, we all unconsciously signed an invisible contract with life. That contract states, if I'm a good person, good things will happen to me. If I work hard, I will be successful. The world is a safe and fair place. You built your entire life on the foundation of those beliefs. It's like a map in your head. It makes you feel safe. You go to sleep every night believing that tomorrow the sun will rise and everything will make sense. But then, crisis hits. A car accident, a bankruptcy, a betrayal. And suddenly, that contract is torn into pieces right in front of your face. You realize, wait a minute, I'm a good person, right? Why is this happening to me? This world isn't fair. This world is chaotic. That is the real trauma. The most painful part isn't the money you lost or the person who left. The most painful part is that you lost your trust in safety. The map in your head no longer matches the territory. You are standing in a strange city without a compass. That is why you feel so lost. Your entire worldview has collapsed. And this is when your brain starts doing something very strange, something you might be experiencing right now. The 3 a.m. loop. You lie there, staring at the ceiling in the dark, and the movie of that tragedy just plays over and over again in your head. Why didn't I see it coming? If only I had said something different. Why me? You try to turn it off, but you can't. It's like a beast gnawing at your mind. Psychologists call this rumination. Most people think this is a sign of weakness or depression, but listen closely, because this will change how you see yourself. Thinking too much isn't a glitch. It's your brain trying to save you. Imagine your brain is a supercomputer. When the invisible contract breaks, it's like a corrupted file has entered the system. The computer can't process this new data because it doesn't fit the old operating system. So it runs the program again and again and again, trying to find a way to make this new information make sense. It is desperately trying to rebuild your lost map. But here is the danger zone. There are 2 ways to ruminate. The first way is intrusive rumination. This is where you are the victim. Negative thoughts automatically hijack you, dragging you down into the dark mud of regret. The second way is deliberate rumination. This is the key to the reborn. People who grow stronger after a crisis do not try to stop thinking. They just change the questions. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" a question that traps you in the past, they force their brain to ask, "What does this mean?" and "What do I do with this rubble now?" Questions that point to the future. They shift from being a victim of their thoughts to being the architect of their life. And right now, I'm going to give you the blueprint to do exactly that.
So, where do we start rebuilding? The answer lies in an ancient Japanese art form called Kintsugi. When a precious bowl is broken, the master craftsman doesn't throw it away. He doesn't try to superglue it back together to hide the cracks either. Instead, he mixes lacquer with powdered gold and uses that mixture to join the broken pieces. The result? A new bowl is born. It's not pristine like it used to be, but those golden veins make it more beautiful, more valuable, and more unique than any unbroken bowl could ever be. That is exactly what we are going to do with your life right now. This is the 3-step Kintsugi protocol. Step 1. Sit still in the rubble. Radical acceptance. Remember that 3 a.m. loop I mentioned? You can't escape it by running away or drinking to forget. The only way out is through. The first act of strength is not standing up. The first act of strength is admitting you are down for the count. Look straight at your broken pieces and say, yes, I lost everything. Yes, I am in excruciating pain, and that is okay. Don't try to sugarcoat it. Don't say this is a lesson while you are still bleeding. Just acknowledge the wound. You cannot heal what you refuse to see. Step 2. Finding gold in the ashes, the rewrite. This is the most critical step. You need to separate the event, reality, from the story, meaning. The event, you got fired. The old story, victim, I am useless, my life is over. Now play the role of a screenwriter. You are forced to rewrite this script so the main character, that's you, wins at the end. How do you write it? The new story, hero. Getting fired was the push I needed to start the business I was always too scared to launch. This isn't the end. This is the opening scene of the best chapter. Look for secondary gains. It sounds crazy, but ask yourself, is there anything good, no matter how small, that has come from this disaster? Maybe you found out who your real friends are. Maybe you realized you are stronger than you thought. Those are the first specks of gold dust you will use to mend the cracks. Step 3. Turn your scar into a map. Service. This is the ultimate secret of the reborn. How do you make the pain stop feeling meaningless? You use that pain to help someone else. If you lost a child, help other grieving parents navigate that darkness. If you went bankrupt, teach young people how to avoid financial mistakes. If you battled depression, be a listener for someone who is struggling. When you help others walk through the darkness you once traversed, your brain gets a massive signal. I survived this. I am no longer a victim. I am a guide. In that moment, your pain transforms into a mission. Your scar turns into pure gold. You don't have to do something grand immediately. Just one small act. Today, right now, do something that contradicts the feeling of, I am a victim. Stand up, clean your room, make a phone call, help someone. Don't wait until you feel better to act. Act so you can feel better.
Finally, I want you to look in the mirror. The person staring back at you might look older, more tired, and the eyes might have lost the innocence they once held.
This clearly
But
shows
look
the
closer.
potential here.
That is the
Just
face of
remember,
someone who has
listen,
walked through the
whatever you need.
storm and survived. Never, ever feel ashamed of what you have been through. Don't try to hide your soul's scars with a fake smile or meaningless busyness. Remember the Kintsugi bowl. It is not beautiful despite being broken. It is beautiful precisely because it was broken. Those golden cracks are its history.
Act so you can feel
They are
better.
proof of its resilience. And now, they are proof of your rebirth. You are no longer a collapsed house. You are an architect standing on the rubble, holding the blueprint for a skyscraper. The storm has cleared the ground for you. The old foundation had to be destroyed to make way for a new, deeper, unshakable foundation. Crisis is a cruel gift. It takes away your innocence but it gives you back depth. It takes away your comfort, but it gives you back strength. So, wear your golden scars with pride. Let them shine in the sun, because they don't say, "I was defeated." They scream, "I lived, I fought, and I won." Now I have a question for the new architect in you. What is the first golden brick you will lay down today? Share that commitment in the comments below. Don't just watch this video and forget it. Write it down to make it real. And if you want to continue rebuilding your life based on the blueprints of psychology and wisdom, hit that subscribe button for Psych Blueprint. Together, we will build great things from the broken pieces. Thank you for listening. Welcome back to life.